This episode of KSTV is brought to you by Gem Creative, custom designs, printing, web designs, SEO, and more.
Hello, how are you? Good evening. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Peter.
And we are the
Kevin Rev.
show.
Reverend.
Yeah, whatever.
We're here.
We are. And we wanted to ask you a question today. What makes a community a community? What makes it bind together as opposed to other communities? And we were just talking off the air, and you mentioned that we had our grand opening of our Motherwell beach. And boy, was that ever busy. Wow.
I have not attended, but I have seen pictures. Yeah. I have seen what people posted on Facebook. I'm sorry I missed it.
It was a great time. I was down there and I got a sense of, wow, this is really cool. Everybody was enjoying themselves and getting along and socializing and just enjoying the day. And I wonder if other communities do something similar.
I think that would really depend on how we define community. You know, community is a group of people that gathers together for a common purpose. And then we have concept of larger community, as in Kindersley. Mm-hmm. We come together when something happens, and it calls for celebration, sometimes grief.
Yes.
We gather around an idea. But then within a community, we have small communities.
Yes.
You know, we have ethnic communities.
We do.
There used to be a Polish one, a whole 7.5 people.
How do you get to half?
Well, when somebody has been more in Canada than in Poland, I count them as half Polish.
Okay, that's fine. I can understand that.
That would be me.
Okay.
We have communities such as, faith communities or communities that are interest clubs, like the... we have an RC plane club, don't we?
I believe we
Remote
do. Remote
controls.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
And our Filipino community is growing by the month, it seems.
The food was fantastic.
Well, of course it is. Why do you think I put on weight? You know why? It's because I don't know portion control. That's my problem.
Are you being fed the same way Polish grandmothers feed people? Just a little more?
Just a little. But
and even God will not help you if you leave it on a table.
No, you're not allowed to leave on the table. You can't leave the table, at least my parents said, you can't leave the table until you finish what's on your plate.
Back to the concept of community.
Yes.
Food is something that brings us together. And recently, every week, we had opportunity here in Kindersley to experience a community of people gathering at the tables, eating co-op lunch.
Yes, that's
every
true.
Tuesday
Yes.
at lunchtime at Senior Center, co-op is serving lunch, $5 a portion. Can't beat it.
You cannot, no.
Food is great.
Yep.
And you end up sitting with various people, visiting in the queues. You build community, you build connections, and you support various initiatives, various ideas in our community. The food bank, the West Central Abilities, even the fire people.
Even the food mesh, I believe, was part of that as well.
I think so.
But like you say, we're supporting another community by being part of this larger community. It's amazing how that works.
Makes me think of that Celtic image of Trinity when you've had those rings intertwined. And
yes.
They're separate, but they're together.
That's kind of like us. We're separate, but we're working on the show together. Good segue. And until next time.
Events sponsored by Royal Flush, the company for septic services.
Kindersley and District Co-op is excited to announce that Kids Academy Early Learning Center will be the recipient of their Fuel Good Day on September 17, 2024. Make sure to mark your calendars and fuel up in support of Kindersley's Kids Academy ELC. Colville's Fowl Supper is back for another year. Doors open at 5 p.m. and everyone is invited to come down and enjoy an evening. Last year was a tremendous success, and the hope is this year for a repeat. Proceeds go to supporting the development of the Colville Licenses Daycare. Mark your calendars and come hungry, Saskatoon. The Western Canada Rib Fest tour is back by popular demand. Tell your family, tell your friends, your neighbors, or your co-workers that the Saskatoon Rib Fest will be serving up award-winning ribs on September 13th to 15th at Kinsman Park. The admission is free to this event.
Hi, Peter.
Hello, Hello, Kevin.
How are you?
I am doing really well.
I can tell because that shirt just screams hi.
Okay.
The color suits you, put it that way.
Thank you very much.
I don't know if I'd wear that in public, but hey, for us here it's perfectly fine. Question for you for tonight.
Yes.
Do you belong to a service club? Now, I know given your position with the church, I don't know if you venture out and volunteer into other clubs.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Actually, I don't. And I don't because I always thought in my role as a minister in a community, especially size of Kindersley, if I belong to one service club, 5 others, if there is 5 others, can come to me and say, well, you belong to this one, why can't you belong to others? To ours. And then I will run out of me.
Fair enough. I mean, you can only spread yourself so thin.
Exactly.
It seems to me, service clubs, there's not as many as there used to be, from what I've seen in my opinion, but a lot of the clubs that we still have, boy, they're just really needing new blood, new members, so to speak.
I think you can see that with service clubs.
Yes.
You can see that with boards of various organizations here in town.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? I grew up in an era of being a volunteer. My dad was a member of a Lions Club in Winnipeg, and I didn't know it's not mandatory, but I just wanted to do what he did, and he volunteered a lot, and that's where I started getting into it. And I really had a good time. You know, you meet a lot of different people, you see different things, do different things, and volunteering to me has always been a great way to give back. I'm going to refer back to our previous episode on community.
I think volunteering changes the whole dynamic when you do that with other people, because you do that with others because you want to.
Yes.
You've chosen to.
Right.
Not because it's a job you signed up for.
Right, and you're not looking for gratification, you're not looking to get anything back, you're just helping out because.
I think the gratification comes out of the very doing what you volunteer for.
I would not argue that. But you're not looking for outside gratification.
No.
And I think most people that volunteer would say the same thing. They
think so.
volunteer because they want to. And I think that's I won't say a dying thing, but it's just it's such a fast-paced world nowadays. And
Do you remember
everybody's
our
busy.
conversation about computers?
Yes.
And artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And I think our lives, as technology advances, I think our lives are becoming more and more busy.
I would agree.
Growing population also contributes to it.
Yes.
More people, more activities, younger parents more busy with more activities for their children.
Yes.
We're all spreading ourselves thinner. Depending on our context, we sometimes either volunteer with or we work for and with aging population, the one that isn't able to volunteer and contribute, especially on a regular basis like they used to.
Right. It's got to be tough, though, because people who may want to go out and help out just can't because they're being pulled in so many other directions.
Yes.
And how do you decide as a parent, per se, what to give your time to? That's tough.
How much time do you have left to give after you've been to work, after you've done work-related after-work activities, after you've spent some time with your children and your spouse, just being a family, and then you go to those activities, and some of them aren't just let's walk down the street or onto the baseball pitch. Some of them is traveling to Calgary, to Edmonton, all over Saskatchewan, down to the States. It takes time.
It does.
Energy, money, let's name it.
And you know, we can't make more time. We just can't. We have to make the most of it. We can always make more money. But once the time is gone, it's gone. And you don't want to be one of those people who looks back at your life and regrets, saying, oh, I wish I'd have done this, I wished I'd have done that more. You know? I don't think anybody said when they get older, never said, oh, I wish I'd have spent more time at the office. You don't hear that. You better not hear that. You know? Because you have to go out. You have to visit the world. But again, not at the expense of your family.
I think we will all, one day or the other, look back and we will all say, I wish I have done more of this, more of that. And it might be, I wish I volunteered more, not just get stuck with me and my hobby. It might be, I wish I spent more time with my family because I volunteer too much.
Right.
I think we will all have a moment, I'm not sure if I would call it a regret, but we will certainly have a moment where I wish. Do you have one of those?
I wish this episode was over. No, I'm kidding. No. No, I don't. I'm really kidding. I don't have too many, I'm going to use the word regrets in life. I mean, life happens to us. Whatever we do, we do. Whether we're ashamed or embarrassed of things we've done, sure. But I mean, in the end, you keep going, and because that's all you can do. And that's all any of us can do. Hey, I'm not perfect.
I had you pegged down as perfectly perfect.
Thank you, but I need you to put that in writing for my wife, please.
I will even affix a seal to it.
Perfect.
In Latin.
Wonderful. In that case, we're done.
Local news sponsored by Mid-Plains Diesel. Kindersley's favorite time of the year, Goose Festival, is fast approaching. Running from September 19th to 22nd, it's going to be a great weekend filled with food trucks, a variety of entertainment, and an antique car show. A reminder to those participating in this year's parade, it's okay for parade entrants to have walkers give out candies and treats, but please do not throw them from the floats. Over the years, there have been too many near misses with children eager to pick up candies on the road. So let's keep it safe for everyone while having fun. Kindersley is set to host a major event for firefighters from all over Saskatchewan. Over 300 firefighting students and 40 instructors will gather for the SVFFA Fall School, making it a busy and exciting time for the town. To accommodate everyone, organizers have secured 400 hotel rooms and have booked the entire Kindersley Composite School for the classroom sessions. It's going to be a full house. The training will take place at several locations, such as the Kindersley Fire Hall, the Kindersley Fire Training Grounds, and the Curling Club Rink. This upcoming fall school in Kindersley aims to offer valuable training and hands-on experience for Saskatchewan's volunteer firefighters. Taking place on September 3rd at 10:30 a.m., the public is invited to attend the official opening of West Central Ability's new day program building. Located at 122 First Avenue West in Kindersley, the building has seen a lot of progress over the last few months. One major addition to the new building is the ceiling track lift system, which will make spaces accessible and safe for the individuals being supported, along with the staff members doing the moving. This lift system was made possible due in part to a $10,000 donation from the Kindersley Kin Clubs. Many thanks to everyone for their donations and support in making this new building possible.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Peter.
And we're the Kev Rev Show.
Hello.
Welcome. And today's topic is maybe a little different for some. What would you, and being a minister in the church, how would you define the truth?
Well, John Keats wrote in his Ode to Grecian Urn, "Truth is beauty, beauty is truth, that is all."
Interesting.
If you do poetry, that just tugs at your heart. If you do not do poetry, then basically it makes you go,
what?
exactly, that is what I was going to say. It's funny you mentioned truth. I was reflecting on what truth is. How do we know what it is? The other day, when I found this gem, in quotations, in my mailbox, and so did a fair chunk of Kindersley residents, and so did people of Rosetown and people of Colville, people of many surrounding communities here in our area. It was delivered as part of flyer whole system.
Oh, no charge for it then.
And I chuckled because at the back of the book it reads The Untold Story. The book has been in print since 1848, 5 times officially, approximately 11 times unofficially.
Okay.
So much for The Untold Story. That made me wonder about, so often I see those headlines in usually the National Gossiper magazine.
Okay.
The truth they don't want you to know.
Ah, like a government conspiracy.
Well, they never say who they is.
Right.
Yes.
I know what you mean.
Yes. And, but if it's in print, then it's no longer the secret, right?
No. But how do you know that what they're saying is true?
So what is truth?
Well, if I can quote you, truth is beauty.
That is
Beauty
a
is truth.
cop-out answer. I am thinking here of a lecture I once attended by a Canadian theologian, John Stackhouse, who said, we live in the era of post-truth, which is defined as truth is what I say it is. And we live in the age of information, where we can research things. We do not have to take for granted that at face value anything that comes our way, be it newspaper, be it on TV, media, whether we watch mainstream, fringe, doesn't matter. We can double check and question everything. The way I approach truth is when it's too convenient, when it conforms to what I'm thinking or feeling, then as much as I like that it jives, I'm suspicious.
And do you think the mainstream media has made us more suspicious? And I refer back to not just COVID, but even the fake news, as it's been called on TV with some news stations. I know for one, I never know if what I'm hearing is factual or not.
So when I look at media and when I read various sources, I like to rely on I don't remember the source, but there is a graph that has approximately 150 English media on it, and they're designed to be most center, more biased left, more biased right. And I try to stick to the center because, like in every group, in every community that we talked about not so long ago, you know, there is this theory, for example, in the church concept, that you've always have 10% or less to the left who want to go back to the 15th century, or at least 1897. And then you have a little 10% who want to take the whole community as far and as forward as possible and as fast. And then you have the 80% in the middle. Or the saying that the biggest noise comes always out of the shallow end of the swimming pool.
Or the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Okay, note to self, look it up. I actually don't know what that means, so that'll be a learning for me.
There you go. So the more people that make the noise, they usually get heard the most.
So when I hear criticism of the media, I want to know where the criticisms come from. Are we critical of the media because we don't like what they're saying, or because we're suspicious of their sources?
That is a very good question.
And we can be suspicious of
yes,
absolutely everything.
And we shouldn't be, but we have to be.
I think so.
You know, I hate that we can't rely on CBC News or Fox News or whoever. And I don't mean to call them out. It's just I just use them because I thought of them. But you always want your news sources to be credible.
Yes.
And factual. And if they're not, then you wonder, well, why am I watching them?
So I like the question when we say things, how do you know?
Interesting.
How do you know? So perhaps one day we will talk about how do we know and can we trust the experts and who they are.
Truth is interesting. And the truth is, we're out of time.
Sports, sponsored by the Tint Doctor. We've got you covered.
The Western Hockey League announced the home opening dates for the 2024-25 WHL regular season. The defending WHL champion Moose Jaw Warriors will start the 24-25 season on the road, heading to Brandon for the Wheat Kings home opener on Friday the 20th. The following night, the Warriors return to the Moose Jaw Event Center for the club's home opener Saturday, September 21st against the Prince Albert Raiders. Stay tuned for more hockey updates this season at kindersley.social.ca or check out our Kindersley Social magazine. It may be a while yet, but Kindersley is thrilled to host the first ever combined SaskTel men's tankard and Viterra women's curling provincial championships in January 2025. On-ice action begins Tuesday, January 21st through Sunday, January 26th, and will be played in a round-robin style with 4 draws per day beginning at 8:30 a.m. Tickets for the event go on sale at Goose Festival on September 21st and online at evenbright.ca on September 22nd. The annual Terry Fox Run has become a fall tradition in Canada. Nearly 2 in 5 Canadians will face cancer during their lifetime. Terry never gave up, and neither will we. This fall, the Terry Fox Run in Kindersley will be held on Sunday, September 15th, starting at 1 p.m. at the Motherwell Beach. Registration will start at 12:30. If anyone is looking to help volunteer, please reach out to glencross2015@outlook.com. Come down and watch some great hockey, Kindersley. Cheer loud and have a great time. It's fun for the whole family. The Iron Horse Kindersley Clippers home opener is on Saturday, September 21st at 6 p.m. They'll be facing off against the Battleford North Stars at the Interpipeline Event Center Arena. Don't miss it. And be sure to stay after, as there will be a cabaret to add to the Goose Festival weekend. Come on down to the Flatlanders Speedway on Sunday, September 29th at 1 p.m. for the Yarimaki Memorial Race. It's going to be an action-packed day with the Legends Touring Series, stock trucks, hobby, and street invitation races all lined up. Don't miss out on the thrills. Bring your friends and family for a day of high-speed excitement.
And we're here. We're back.
Hello.
Hi, that's Peter.
That's Kevin.
And this is the Kev Rev Show. Or the Rev Kev Show, or whatever.
Well, you're not the Rev. I'm
That's
the Rev.
true.
You're
So,
Kev.
Kev Rev, okay. Well, that's fine. So now we can ask you, because you've been here for so many years in this town.
8 years now.
Yeah. So, question for you. Do you own the house you live in, or do you rent it?
No, I live in what is called the manse, or in some churches would be called the vicarage or parsonage. Okay. So the home we live is owned by St. Paul's United Church here in Kindersley. So I am provided with housing as part of my work, part of my ministry.
Lucky you. And I say that only because I was reading online today, the average median income to afford a house in different cities across Canada. Do you know what number the cheapest one would be? No? Fredericton, New Brunswick. Median household income, $70,000.
Wow. Okay.
That's not bad.
That is not bad. How much do you have to make to buy a house in Vancouver or Toronto or Calgary?
Well, it's funny you should ask that. Toronto, they're saying about $209,000. Vancouver, about $227,000. Calgary is about $119,000.
Huh.
Now that's your average median household income.
Now, does it tell you what kind of house you get to buy for that kind of income, and how long will your grandchildren have to pay off your mortgage?
It does not say that. But you know, owning a house is great. It really is. I've owned several houses in the past, and we're going to be buying one here, I think, in the next few months. But it's very different from renting, of course, because, you know, you're as a renter, if anything happens to the furnace, say, or the hot water tank, you don't have to repair it yourself. You can just pick up the phone, call your landlord, say, hey, this is happening, please fix it. And within reason, they do, of course.
Yes.
So there's always added, now that average median income is great, but you've got to factor in, you know, your insurance as well, and maintenance and everything else. So it's probably a little bit higher than that. Now, I don't know how your situation works, but if your median income is, say, $70,000, you maybe should look at $80,000 technically, because of all the other added things with it. It's not as cut and dried as you'd like to think it is.
Yeah. I think renting versus owning is simply exchanging one set of rewards and complications for another.
Right. And renting isn't bad for those who don't want to have the hassle, so to speak, of ownership, or if they want to, they have the convenience of just saying, hey, I'm going to give you a month's notice, I'm moving out, and
Yes.
they don't have to worry about putting the house on the market, getting all ready for sale, et cetera, et cetera. So they have that, but I mean, you don't have that sense of ownership either.
So I remember some time ago reading an article how renting is going to become a thing, and developers will be building more condo-like places, or even apartment building-like places for rent, because what was then labeled younger people, without defining who the younger people are, would be more prone to renting, because at that time, houses, the prices were such that they wouldn't even think of buying.
Right.
You know, might as well dream of going to the moon.
That may happen sooner than buying a house, because don't forget, you still have to put down your down payment as well, and that's a serious setback for a lot of people. Even though they may be able to afford the actual mortgage payment, but they have to save enough first to be able to make the down payment.
And I don't know how much various legislations for first-time buyers, second-time buyers, and whatnot, how much do they really help?
Well, I know right now the average first-time buyer, I believe you only have to put down 5%. Now, that's great, but anything less than 10%, you're going to be paying a fee to CMHC to insure that mortgage. I mean, if you can afford it, that's fine, but if you can't afford the full 10%, you have to kind of weigh the difference between the two and see which one will fit you better financially.
And then when we talk about, numbers you mentioned, income and price of the house, but then there is still, utilities. The price of a house doesn't come with free electricity and water. You have to factor that in.
Absolutely.
Taxes.
Yeah.
Some cities, from what I read on the news, are mulling over taxing people on, not so much taxing them on rainwater, but taxing them so that infrastructure can be maintained if they're running the rainwater. So when you think, I'm going to own a house, great. And on top of that, I'm going to be paying for this and 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 this. Owning a quality tent actually sounds attractive.
I would not disagree with you. However,
except in Saskatchewan winter.
Yeah, it would be a little tougher.
Yes.
And I do. My heart goes out to those people who do want to own a house but can't.
Yes.
And we've been renting for a lot of years now because for me it's just been more convenient. Although now I think it's time we're going to buy a house. So I'm trying to educate my wife that there are things that we're going to have to pay for that we're not paying for right now as a renter. So our hot water tank went, well, that's $1,700. But if we had to pay for that, that's out of our pocket.
Yes.
So our landlord, mind you, can use it as a write-off because it's rental property. But that's the advantage and disadvantage. So do you rent? Do you own? Let us know. We'd like to know.
See you later.
Hi everyone, be sure to grab a free copy of our bi-weekly print issue in over 50 locations across Kinnersley. Also included in our magazine is the free Kinnersley Social Extra, where we publish things like community events for nonprofits and obituaries for free. If you would like to be featured in our magazine or have something advertised, please email hello@kinnersleysocial.ca.